Hey guys, John here, say VEDA 24, and I wanted to talk about the situation that's been going on for a couple months now, or over a month, and that is the coalition, or more importantly, U.S. involvement, since I'm a U.S. citizen, and how, in my view, how ill-conceived this is. Now, it was presented to the American public and the world at large as a peacekeeping mission to protect Gaddafi loyalists or Libyan army to, going to go in and slaughter the, the cities that are rebelling, essentially. So we're getting into a middle of a civil war without really any involvement or any idea of what the other side that we're supporting is and represents, because they're really not a very cohesive group at all. And in fact, the population that's uprising, it really isn't really even an army, and it has really very low amount of supplies and armaments and ability to fight, and even less training. And this is what's becoming painfully aware. And this is the group now that we're supporting. And I think what people don't realize is that I think when you start to get involved, and it's always sold as something that's, it's just peacekeeping or advising, this is like, echoes of Vietnam in the back of my mind. Not to say that it's going to get that bad, but this is how the ball gets rolling and you get involved in a civil war, because you can't, once you start, you can't withdraw. And when you start reaching these stalemates, you can't withdraw, so you have to escalate. And I was just reading a couple days ago that Obama, authorized Predator drone attacks, the things that we're using both in Afghanistan and Pakistan right now. We're kind of fighting wars in 4 countries actively right now, the United States is. This is just unacceptable and just insane in this era of our inability to have any semblance of a budget or any semblance of trying to create peace in the region, and trying to understand that 80% of the Muslim world, and this is the polls across the Muslim countries, think the United States is in a war against Islam. And and that isn't, from an American perspective, in my perspective, that I don't believe that is true. I don't believe that we are actively looking for fights against Muslim countries. We're looking for fights that have oil, and those countries happen to be Muslim. That's the sad truth. And again, of course, Libya is a significant producer of oil, especially to the European countries. And European countries are up in arms. That Libya is, in the civil war, it's obviously going to diminish their oil supply. And so, if we can't support a dictator, we'll support the other side as long as the oil keeps pumping. It really makes me upset. I feel like the United States, and to a certain degree, I'm glad the American public has kind of, it's just so blatant in how cynical it is, in terms of like, we're helping this country, or we're not helping Sudan, we're not helping the Ivory Coast, having major civil wars themselves. And yet, here we are involved in a civil war with a group of people we don't even really know, and has no cohesive identity at all. It's sickening. It's pathetic. This is what the United States has become, contrary to certainly the Founding Fathers' principle of being very careful in getting your involvement in other nations' affairs. And not to say that everything about it is bad. If it does save civilian lives, that is a good thing. But does it outweigh the entire risk and involvement of us getting into another war? It boggles my mind that the American public isn't more up in arms about this. It's like a 50-50, type view of it right now. And I think that it's starting to go south. But, it's like, it doesn't really matter anymore. It has to get so bad to withdraw from a war. It has to be like a Vietnam situation, where just the United States is tearing itself apart. And even that, went on for years. Again, not to make too strong of a comparison to Vietnam, that was a draft, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers were sent to Vietnam, and tens of thousands were killed. It's not anywhere near that, but it's just something that it's sickening to see, and it's just, I don't understand how people can sit around and accept this. I don't know. I mean, what do you think of it? I mean, am I completely off base, or has the United States really become kind of an empire, building of oil, that's obsessed with oil and supports dictators that, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates and all these quote unquote allies, of course, are, heads of state of major oil countries that, that we look the other way. This Bahrain situation, they're slaughtering their protesters there. The Saudi Arabia, no condemnation, virtually none. We're silent, of course, because they support 10-15% of our oil comes to Saudi Arabia. It's just, it's hypocritical, and it kind of leads to a larger point. I'm kind of rambling, but just to wrap it up, I kind of feel like it leads to a larger point. The United States uses its military force almost exclusively for financial, to keep and financial interest in one way or another. In terms, even Afghanistan, which really has no resources the United States uses, there's a situation of where they had a disruptive element in the country that was disrupting our economy in the United States, or had the potential to significantly, with 9/11 and other subsequent, potential attacks, quote unquote. And so, and of course, Iraq and now with Libya, and it's just so cynical, and I guess that's what presidents get reelected for, is to basically make the economy as good as possible, or create the appearance of it, or fight off threats to it, despite how many innocent people are killed or slaughtered, under good intentions. I never mean to kill the innocents, but of course, when we go into action with this type of armament and technology, and it's an inexact science, and of course there's going to be collateral damage of significant proportions. And this is, again, why the Arab world and the Muslim world hates the United States. It's fundamentally the two reasons. One is collateral damage, or just invasion and occupying of other countries, and support of dictators that don't support democratic reforms, that oppress their people horribly, and we largely support these people. Not all, but a significant amount. So, I mean, it's just, I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to stop now. What do you think? What do you think about this whole thing? The multi-war front of the United States. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.